everybody. Sorry about the mess in the background. My usual spot where I do videos is a little messy. I'll get it tidied up before I do another one of these. As you might tell right off the bat, this is not going to be your typical video that I get. I tried to designate Mondays as like a Maker Monday, and I still want to get back to that someday, but as I said, this isn't going to be one of your typical videos that I do here. I haven't been on here in the past couple of weeks because there's been a death in the family. So today's June 1st, which is the kickoff for Pride Month, and it's not gone unnoticed that I'm wearing my Free Mom Hug shirt. Unfortunately, this is not a Pride kickoff video. Oh my God, the background we're also trying to repaint the apartment and everything. We're doing a bunch of stuff right now to try and get this place cleaned up, and it's not unlivable, but it's things are in the works. Anyway, never mind, I'm blathering. So 3 weeks ago, sorry, there we go. Not 3 weeks ago, sorry. June 1st, that's today, Monday. It's not a Maker Monday, unfortunately. I'll just get right to it. May 19th, which was just under 2 weeks ago, my mom passed away. And to say that, Heartbroken doesn't even cover it. There aren't enough words in the English language to describe how much I love my mom and appreciated her, and I'm grateful for her. I could blather on until the cows come home about how amazing and creative and wonderful and incredibly cool she was. This is so tough to get into. I remember getting a call when I was on my way to get a mass fit testing for my work. We have to have mass fit testings every 2 years to get fitted for proper personal protective equipment. It's kind of mandatory in healthcare here. And I got a call from my sister, but I thought, okay, I'm on my way. So if she needs to leave a message, she'll leave a message, whatever. But then she called back right away, which told me something was up. So something was up. I don't want to get into too much of the nitty gritty because it's still very much a traumatic thing for my sister, who's probably going to watch this, and I don't want to exacerbate that. But let's just say when I called a cab to get to my mom's, it was the quickest I've ever been able to get a cab. And I think it was within 10 minutes of phoning them. Mind you, I did say it was a bit of an emergency. When I got to the apartment building my mom and sister lived in, the whole block was just cordoned off with emergency vehicles, like ambulances, fire trucks, paramedics were there and everything. She was unresponsive. She wasn't breathing on her own. By the time I got up there, I had talked to the paramedics on the phone to see what was going on. She wasn't breathing on her own. She was being given the ambu bag, the mask with the squishy bag. And she had been given CPR, my sister gave her chest compressions and everything. From what I was told, they were able to get a heartbeat, but I think it was because they used the defibrillator, oh my God, to shock her heart into a rhythm. She was in what they call full code, which basically means life-saving measures would be given to someone. If they don't want life-saving measures, they would sign a DNR, do not resuscitate, which we did have for my mom when she was in the hospital 12 years ago, but then she overwrote that. And she said she wanted to be in full code. So she was in full code. She did have a pulse. when they left the building, but unfortunately, when we all got to the hospital, my sister and I were brought into one of those little side rooms where you never hear any good news. And the doctor came in with a couple of counselors and informed us that our mom had passed away. I'm gonna be honest, this still doesn't feel real. Like, it's just such a big shock. It's not that I can't accept it, I just don't want to, and I know that sounds so incredibly juvenile and irrational, but despite going in to see her when she was in the ER before she was taken to the morgue, like, I was talking to her and I was holding her hand and I could feel like there was no heartbeat. She was lifeless, and just being able to sit there and talk to her, whether or not she heard me, I have no idea. So I knew that it was real, and she was gone. But I just can't, I'm having the hardest time accepting it. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to like make this video about like me crying and, you know, doing the adult equivalent of kicking a pebble and screaming it's not fair, but it definitely doesn't feel fair. Like, yes, she had a host, well, what the doctor called a host of comorbidities. And, you know, things weren't exactly looking, but she was still here. She was still fighting every day. She still was living, like, I don't know if we would call it a great quality of life, but she was still living and she was still here. And hang on one second. Oh my gosh, hold on. Sorry. Oh my gosh, there's so much garbage. Yeah, as I said, you can see, like, we're trying to clean the apartment, but this view has good lighting. My room has to be cleaned up a little bit. Oh gosh, this is so difficult, and I know one of the reasons why this is so difficult is, as my husband put it, it's the greatest loss that I've had to face so far in my life. Like, yeah, losing my dad was hard, and it hurt, and it sucked. My dad and I had a bit of a complicated relationship, though, so I mean, not that it was any less worth my mourning and my tears, but I even asked my husband, I said, why does this feel different? He said, well, because it's your mom. I don't know if it's always different because it's a mom, like, especially for folks, you know, who have good relationships with their moms and we're close to them. Maybe it was because I was able to grow closer with her after her whole cancer thing. Like, she almost died 3 times. She was in and out of hospital. She was battling this. And, you know, being able to grow closer to her after that and really appreciate that you shouldn't take second chances for granted. Just to go into a little bit of a personal history, I used to be a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I haven't really, like, kept track of how long I haven't. I mean, I still do drink once in a while, but it's like maybe I'll have a drink once every 3rd blue moon. Like, I don't. I used to be a binge drinker, and which is terrible. It's absolutely awful. But I don't need to do that anymore. You know, the reasons for, you know, binge drinking have disappeared. It's like maybe once in a while or whatever. I was also a drug addict, and I was just not a good person to be around at the time. Like, I stole from people. I lied to people. I engaged in behavior that I look back at and just cringe. I'm horrified by my past behavior. I'm not proud of it, but I can genuinely look back and say, okay, I've come a long way. But because of all this, I mean, I did this to my own family. And I apologized to my mom. I said this was about 9 years ago, just after my dad died, coincidentally. And I said, I'm sorry, I was such a horrible daughter. I remember, I'm trying not to lose my ear, but this is, oh gosh, this is so hard. I remember just crying with her. And I just kept saying, I'm so sorry. And this was kind of funny. My mom just like, hey, come here. She was very stoic. I think I've only seen her cry maybe twice in my entire life. So it's not that she wasn't unfeeling or uncaring. She was just stoic. She said, okay. She didn't tell me to stop crying. She just said, okay, you're gonna make me cry. Let's bring this down a little bit. But ever since then, it kind of felt like our relationship had really strengthened. We weren't just, mother and daughter anymore. It felt like we were friends. We were able to actually talk about stuff. God, sorry, this thing just keeps moving. I've got this on like a precarious stand here. Yeah, it feels like I'm just having a blather about my mom, but I can't believe. I'm having a hard time believing she's gone. And I know my sister feels the same way. I'm so sorry for being so emotional. She meant so many things to me, but I feel like there's a hole in my chest where my heart used to be, and it hurts and it sucks. I hate this so much. I'm glad that my last words were, I love you, I'll see you on Thursday, because excuse me, I also used to sorry, I'm tripping over my own words. I'm sorry. The last few months, I was her PSW. God, I don't even know why I bothered to wear makeup. Waterproof my ass. The last few months, I became her personal support worker. I put my certification to good use. I helped my mom with personal cares because she was just too weak. And she finally reluctantly admitted that she needed help with some things. So I got to come over and help her with her showers and her baths and like her personal cares. I got to help her with some of her grooming, and it was an honor for me to do that. Like the last few months of her life, it felt like it wasn't just a job for me. It felt like such an honor and a privilege that I could help take care of my mom. And to give you an idea of how dry her sense of humor was, she, and this might be slightly inappropriate, so I apologize, but she said, well, I got to wipe your bum when you were younger, now you get to wipe mine. That just, to give you any idea of like where my sister and I got our sense of humor from and our dryness. It was purely genetic. What really struck me, though, was my mom would say, we can't afford to pay you. I wouldn't even take money from my own mother. There's just no way. I mean, she's my mom. I'm not going to do that. I said I wouldn't accept money anyway. So she and my sister would pay in love and home-cooked meals. Like my sister got really, she was getting into food prep, helping my mom with food prep and making meals and whatnot. And, she's got had everything set up in the kitchen and would just go to town, and it was wonderful. And that's something else I'm gonna miss. I used to go over twice a week. It used to be once a week, then it was twice a week. And if I didn't have to go to work afterwards, we'd just spend time together, just hang out, enjoy each other's company. And to this day, it just does not feel it doesn't feel real. And anytime I go to my mom, she was either in this nice, comfy, easy chair in the living room, or she was sitting at the dining table, like at the head of the dining table, working on like a grocery list or planning out bill payments, that sort of thing. Like that was kind of her hub of activity. And just walking in and not seeing her there, it just feels so empty. I couldn't even imagine. And my sister still lives in the apartment, so I can't even imagine the emotional agony she's going through. Like, she and mom were always close. They lived together for decades. They owned property together. They made financial decisions together. Like, they were tight. I would say that my sister and I, we had vastly different relationships with our mom, but we were both very close, but in our own ways. So I can't even imagine walking into a place that you shared with someone for many years. And yeah. So I realize I'm blathering. This is kind of like therapy to me, to be honest. But yeah, I just, the past couple of weeks have just been an emotional roller coaster. I was on bereavement leave from work. I tried to go back for a shift. Like, I was given, I'm on a part-time schedule, so my shifts are here, there, and everywhere. I was given 4 like bereavement days, and apparently you can get that if you're full-time, part-time, whatever. If a parent dies, you get 4 bereavement days in their consecutive shifts, so that there's no interruption to pay, like to my pay, which was lovely. I appreciate that very much. But I tried to go back to work, and it doesn't help that I'm in long-term care and I'm helping folks that are my mom's age, if not older. I thought, I can put this to use. I can help other people whose kids can't come in and do that for them. And this is for a noble purpose, which it is. My mom always told me when I came in, every time I came to visit, she was always so proud of me. She said, "I'm so proud of you." The one day I was massaging some body lotion like into her back and arms, and she said, "Do you do this for all your residents?" I said, "Most of them, yeah. I do the body lotion on their arms and legs and their backs to keep the skin nice and smooth and hydrated." And she said, "Oh, you treat your residents so nice." That's what I do. But she always told me she was proud of me. And she always told Sarah she was so happy that she had her girls were looking after her. She had 2 grown people like looking after her and taking care of her. And like I said, it didn't feel like a chore. It didn't feel like a burden. It didn't feel like a job. It was an honor for me to be able to do that for my mom. And I'll be honest, that following Thursday, when it was supposed to be her care day, I barely left the apartment. I couldn't, like, to this day, it feels weird to leave my apartment. Anytime I do, it's basically to go see my sister. Sorry. I've been kidnapped for coffee dates. Friends have been very supportive to both my sister and I. They've really stepped up and helped so much, and we're so grateful. We've had like care packages dropped off. I had a friend get a hold of me and say something like, "Let me know what your mailing address is, so some Amazons can bring you a gift." Lovely play with words. My mom would have laughed if she saw that. And I appreciate all the help that we've gotten so far. It still feels painful, and it's really painful at night. Like, I'm hardly sleeping. I can't imagine how my sister, she said the same thing. She said that, sleep is a foregone conclusion. But I remember the day after I did a shift at work to loop it back to the work thing. The day after that work shift, I had a day off, and I just spent most of it in bed. I just couldn't move. I couldn't function. And it felt so wasteful. And I know it felt wasteful, but it wasn't, because I was obviously taking care of myself and nurturing myself, which felt so alien to me. Like, let's be honest, I would rather chew my arms off than ask for help for any reason in any capacity. And I'm used to feeling busy, like there's always something on the go, always something I have to do or take care of. So to just feel like everything's ground to a halt just feels so alien to me. And I know that because of that, I'm setting up these unfair expectations of myself. Like, why am I lying around in bed all day? I should be doing something else. My husband, bless him, has been such a rock. He even said, take care of yourself. You've been through a lot. I'm not used to it. I can't even. I know, like, there's gonna be people watching this going, yeah, whatever. Get to the knitting, get to the crochet. What have you made? I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really worked on anything. I just don't have it in me. I think I finished a bandana, like another knit bandana, but I was trying to work on a bucket hat for myself, like a crochet bucket hat, so I'd have some shelter from the sun walking to and from work. And I had to take it apart and start over because I lost track of my stitches, where I was, how many rounds. Like I don't have it in me right now, which really feels bad. And to tie it all in, my mom was one of the first people that showed me how to knit. She showed me when I was 10, but I unfortunately had the concentration of a pregnant goldfish. But years later, it was about 22 years ago, I picked it up again. My mom taught me how to cast on, and away I went. And she always kept saying that, because I said Mom was a good knitter, and she would always say, like, I don't make the things that you do now, because she mostly stuck to dishcloths in the last few years of her life. But she would ask things like, how does she make like a knit ruana? And I said, well, it's like, you could do something similar to like face cloths where you just knit 3 panels and stitch them together. And she's like, oh, listen to you, Miss Fancy. And I'm thinking to myself, you used to knit sweaters with circular needles. And you're telling me I'm fancy for wanting to knit 3 rectangles and sew them together? But again, that just shows off my mom's dry sense of humor, right? But yeah, it's just, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be completely raw here. This feels weird. This hurts. And just when I think I've cried enough tears, more of them show up. Or I'll be working away on something. Oh my gosh. The Friday after she passed, I decided I was going to make... it was the first time I'd cooked that week because, like I said, I just didn't have the capacity to do anything. So I had to go do some shopping, like for household stuff, like cat food, litter, dog food, whatever. And I was inspired by a recipe that a friend of mine had done, and I saw a similar idea in like a Facebook short, like one of those reels or whatever. So I thought I was gonna make soup, but it's like using mini wontons and whatnot. So basically it's just like a bag of like frozen mini wontons, 6 cups of chicken broth. I think the recipe called for shredded carrots, but I just got like a bag of like broccoli slaw, like just shredded broccoli. Threw that in. Some nice glob of like hoisin sauce, some soy sauce, and a couple more cups of water because those wontons were going to expand. And I put them all in, stirred them all up, let it go to town. It looked and smelled and tasted amazing, by the way. And what I would do before was, like, if I made something, made a soup or some sort of dinner, whatever, I would take a picture and send it to my mom and say, hey, look what I made. Do you want me to send you some? Do you want me to make, save you some? I can drop some off. Oh, no, dear, that's okay, but thank you. She would always say, that's nice, dear, but thank you. So I got a bowl of soup ready, poured it in, got make it look all photographic. I said I should send this to Mom, ask her if she wants them, and then it just hit me that I can't do that anymore. And that hurt so much. Sorry. I know there's going to be lots of little moments where this is going to happen. I'm going to be reminded of something. And that emotional pain is going to come back. This hurts so much. It is the worst loss I've dealt with. And I honestly don't know how to deal with it. Like, I have counseling through my work, through the employee assistance program. There's also a hospice here in Guelph. Coincidentally, the one I did a work placement with last year. They also do bereavement counseling and whatnot. They have like art therapy programs. So the resources are there, the support is there. Like I said, I'd rather chew my arms off than ask for help, but I think this is one of those times where I'm gonna need that help. So I'll be signing up for counseling as soon as we're done here. But I'm sorry, this has been really long-winded. I've been like blathering for like half an hour, just basically to say, yeah, I haven't been here for a couple weeks because my mom died. But it's been quite the emotional journey. I sound like such. It's been a journey. God, I really gotta stop using that word. It reminds me of something Grace Helbig said when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, coincidentally a few months after I did. And she mentioned it it was like a stand-up comedy routine where she said she was no longer just, somebody going through cancer treatment. She was a white woman going through a healing journey. Like, ugh. I know. I got that a lot too when I was going through cancer. My mom was a huge, huge supporter when I was going through cancer. She would send containers of her turkey and chicken broth every 2 weeks when I was going through chemo. When I would not be able to eat anything except, some small bits of fluid, and it helped. Another story. And then I'll try and cut down on the stories. But years ago, when my mom, like I said, went through cancer, she had colorectal cancer. And one of her friends recommended a book that I actually got a copy of called The Cancer Fighting Kitchen. She was given this by a friend to help her go through whatnot. And it's basically a bunch of recipes that specifically target different aspects of going through cancer treatments, like constipation, nausea, dehydration, low iron, you name it. There was one, and then there's a category like anytime meals or food or whatever. And one of those was called a mineral broth, which is basically like a chicken broth with different types of like herbs and whatnot. But the recipe itself in the book, in the Cancer Fighting Kitchen, called for an organic chicken, whole cardamom pods, different types of spices and whatnot, things that you wouldn't find like in Walmart and like the, in the spice section unless you wanted to pay an arm and a leg. And I asked my mom. My mom showed me this book, and she said, if there's any recipes you want me to make for you, just let me know. So I said, well, maybe the mineral broth, because there'll be days where I won't want anything else except to sip on some fluid. And like I said, the recipe called for like an organic chicken and all this and that, whatever. And my mom said, I'll do it, but I probably won't use an organic chicken. It'll more than likely be the carcass of a rotisserie bird from Costco. Is that okay? Like, yeah, absolutely. But just, again, just to show off my mom's sense of humor, that's just how she was. And it was funny, but by God, like those little care packages every 2 weeks, they meant so much. And just, she would send me messages like, "Hey, I hope you're doing well. Keep that." Oh, there was one she sent something like, "We're both of strong British descent," like on her side, and keep up with that stiff upper lip, old chap, and just things like that that were very, motivational. But yeah, she was an incredible source of support, and I hope that with all the cares and all the love and everything I sent back to her, it at least, equaled what. Not saying that everything has to be transactional and equal, but just I'm hoping that I was able to give back a bit of, what she gave my sister and I. I will try to get back to regular videos at some point, but like I said, everything right now just feels like it's taking so much effort, and even just day to day feels kind of weird. It's been a struggle to get out of bed. It's been a struggle to do anything really. I think I've only done like minimal housekeeping around here. As you can see, it's kind of a disaster right now. As I said, my husband's been incredible. He unfortunately lost his mom 3 years ago to dementia, and he lost his father a year before I lost mine. So my father-in-law's been gone for 10 years, and my mother-in-law's been gone for, I'm going to say 3 or 4. Because he has prior experience to what this is like, he's been really helpful in, answering any questions I might have, which you ask anyway, but there's no real concrete answer. Like, is this normal to feel like XYZ, or, is it normal? I keep saying, is it normal? But normal is a setting on a washing machine, and it's really an unfair comparison. What I should start asking is it expected to, did you feel like this? Or, this feels like it's coming out of left field, like having no physical energy to do anything really. Like I said, I barely left the apartment except to go visit my sister, or when friends came by to kidnap me to go for coffee. That was it. That's it, really. I'll end up go to work for one shift and come home just feeling completely depleted. Everything's been such a struggle, and I hate it. And I know I'm putting a lot of unfair expectations on myself. I know things will be not better, but more bearable to deal with eventually. Just right now, it really hurts. And it sucks, and I miss my mom so much. And I know she would want me to keep going and take care of myself, but by God, this is hard. What I think, and I don't want to be one of those people like, if you're in my position, blah, blah, but I just want to say, if there's anybody out there whose moms are still alive and you have a good relationship with them, call them and tell them you love them. You don't want to have that person, you don't know how much time you have with them, and you don't want to have any regrets. And I can truthfully say with my mom, like, my last words were, "Love you, see you on Thursday." But I can truthfully say there are no regrets. There's nothing left. I'm just greedy. I wish we had more time together. I mean, she was only 77 years old. I truly wish we had at least a few more years. We got 12 more years than we thought we would when she went through cancer. And I'm grateful for every single day between then and now that we had, that we didn't think we had. But my greatest bit of advice is, like, not that anybody asked for it, is to just let your mom know you love them. Or if you have a difficult relationship with your mom that can be repaired, repair it. If you have a difficult relationship with your mom, or you don't have a mom, but there's somebody in your life that represents that, tell them you love them and you appreciate them. Because you don't know how much time you have left with them. I'm going to go. I blathered long enough. It's been over half an hour. But I just thought I'd touch base. Sorry for being so emotional. I will try to get back to a semi-regular posting schedule. I'm going to try and keep working on things. I would say the source of my creativity and my sisters would definitely be our mom. She was always very creative. She knit, she crocheted. Well, she didn't do a lot of crochet. I think she crocheted more when she was young, but she did mostly knitting. She sewed. She used to make a lot of our clothes when we were younger. She loved to cook. She loved to bake. One of her most popular sayings was "Food is love." I don't miss that as much as I miss the person behind that. But it's a tradition that I want to keep up with my husband's help, of course. But yeah, tell your mom you love them, or someone that represents mom energy to you. And don't ever take second chances for granted. Yeah, that's it for now. As I said, I'm going to try and get into a somewhat regular posting schedule, but for now, I'm going to try and take it bit by bit and see what happens. Anyway, thanks for listening to me blather. Yeah, feel free to send some love and support my sister's way, because she could definitely use it as well. She could absolutely use it for sure. Thanks for listening. I'll hopefully talk to you soon. Hopefully I'll get through this muck and we'll hang out and do some fun crafty things soon. Bye for now.